What up, time space? Part two of being who you are. For educational purposes only, disclosing parts of my dreams, channeled messages from my higher self only, trials and tribulations. This is my check-in journal videos that I do. So I save these, I post them multiple layers, and then I write about it as well. I went into deep, it almost felt like a deep coma, a deep transformation, however you want to explain it. I was just going in on my other video, the deeper levels of dreams that I go through. Sometimes I feel like a punching bag for entities, and then also I feel like a guinea pig for other energies. But there's a big reason for why that is. And so after I go through all that, I'm like, hey, I try not to take the emotion of it, because in my person and in my mechabot and in my body, it can feel very depleting and very disorganized and somewhat defragmented. So when I try to pull energy back together and I try to ask my higher self, like, why? Again, I try to take the emotion out of it because that's not anything to do with it. So it wants me to explain, my higher self wants me to explain a double helix. It's almost like a double hedron, which is a star pattern. It's like a shape. Okay, so some of us, and this is heavy information that I don't like to talk about because it's putting parts of me on blast, but it's also going to make sense for other, it's almost like other religions out there, other codings of other dimensions, and so on and so forth. For educational purposes only, take what resonates, leave the rest. But it is a star pattern. So some of us, they had to find out this the hard way too, boy. Other like Indians remember this too. It's almost like a double soul. It's a twin. So it's like it's a genetic twin. And even when I was born on this time space, my footprints on my birth certificate, one was like a little bit bigger than the other. And my mom explains this. I have it on video as well. She's like, they had to take your footprints like 5 times. They didn't understand what they were doing, but they kept going from foot to, from heel to foot. And the imprint but on both sides, my imprint was different on both sides. So what that kind of means though is I have 1 foot in each world. And so also it's a double hedron, which has to do with codings, and it has to do with, so it's like a double indigo. It's like a double star pattern. So it's a different mirror on each side. It's a different hedron. Okay. And they're very rare. And some of the Indians remember people having like a double soul. It's like a twin. I have a genetic twin within soul patterns. And that, to be able to read that is traumatic. And it's extremely rare. And I was like, oh, how rare is rare? And when you're talking about cosmic language, it's like 1 in tri-trillions. Like, weird. Okay, so hold on, I have to pause for a minute because I just gotta. So this is what we're just gonna leave that at that. So if you comprehend that, you comprehend that. If not, fuck it. But then what that explains though is that I'm reading some of my notes. You do unto others as you want to done to yourself. So every time I go through a huge imprint or a huge impact, it does imprint on me, and that's part of what they designed it to do for many of you. And so when that happens, they get pieces of me, I get pieces of them, so to speak. And this is energetic language. And it's also angelic, energetic language. And so every time, they try to change the coding or whatever, which they've done in this space-time since the beginning. They've been trying to change the codings through parasites, through all kinds of things, okay? But having like a double mechabot is outrageously weird for other things to comprehend. And so when they do things and they expect a different outcome, and that doesn't happen, they can't like rewind that. They can't like refuck that up again. And so that's another reason why I have a different like level of consciousness, and they can't get them both. Again, with the footprint, they can't get in both worlds, so to speak. So I have a foot in both worlds, but you do unto others as you would like to do to yourself. They can't merit back. Hold on, I'm reading some notes. So it shatters it. So when they try to mirror back, again, it's like you can't walk in my shoes. And so when you do unto others as you'd like to do unto yourself. So when they do unto me, trying to fragment the energy off of me or to, do harm to me, and that mirrors back to them, they can't step in my shoes. So when it mirrors back to them, it shatters it. But then it replaces it with the original copy, I'm being told. It's a sound wave. It's a sound wave. It's an energy format that brings back form and the formula of the original. So it's like a new footprint here now, like a new shelf life. So it literally, and there's other things out there that talk about, well, this wasn't supposed to happen yet. How come this is happening now? Well, something did happen in a parallel universe, so to speak, that has to do with like Tesla coatings and so on and so forth. Again, no harm to none. This is for educational purposes. I'm talking about dreams right now. So it literally does work that way, though. And so, again, every time I get pushed into a low-level consciousness dream, trying to defragment the energy, I pick up coatings of them, and then it's becoming quite smart. There's a whole nother, it's exposing a different language. It says there's a new manuscript. There's a new manuscript going out. Through music, but it's the original sound. So as time space matrix original formatted coding comes back online, it's pushing out like this new manuscript, but through sound, and it's activating other degrees that have been offline for a very long time, which is needed. It says so through sound there's this new word. It's like a new word, but it's a new world. For me, it's the original, but for others, it's New World. And I'm going to go into what that looks like since I still have time. So, I don't know if you guys, it was something that I drew, and I might need my pen again. So, if you were to see Old World, and this is two-dimensional, so it's hard to understand. As a flat surface, it actually is, there's a hole in the middle, right? So, there's a hole in the middle, and then in this time space, which has the firmament over it, right, it has layers, right? So if you could see the landmass, like those are the landmass, like Earth's on its side, it rotates, and there's this middle, and some of it has disclosures to the black hole sun and so on and so forth, because it isn't bright in the middle right there. So there is layers of that, right, that are going on right now. So that's this direction. Well, as we woken the field up, you see how it's now from this direction to this direction. So now the world is on this side, the real world, the original one, is on this side. There's light shining, and this is something I was shown in meditation. There's light shining in the middle of it. Again, we still have layers of it, but you have to realize that it's not just this dimension, it is also this dimension. So when you see layers of it, there's layers of it on both sides of time-space matrix, so to speak, within this time-space matrix. And that reaches outside the firmament. So that is now active. Again, it's like because I can read biofields, and the biofield of Earth is like an onion, right? So there's different layers. So old Earth, or like the phantom matrix that's feeding the phantom matrix, so on and so forth, is this direction. Okay, but as we activate, and it has codings, so there's people that will go back into this format. Again, this is the original format of it being this direction. Again, if you were to see the onion layer, not on a paper, but this direction, okay? So now it's reaching this way, not this way. I hope that makes sense. And then also you have to realize, as there's layers of that, you take a step back, and there's the other layer of like the universal codings, right, of Earth's matrix, and it has layers too. You see what I'm saying? And it is also this direction. So now we're now back into its format of being this direction with the multiple layers of it like this, with light shining in between. So it's reactivated, and it's going back into its stream of its Earth sequences, so to speak. So this one kind of falls off, and it gets to finish playing out its script, so to speak. And that was one of the things that I was supposed to be reminded of today. So one love, baby. I'm out of time here. More on YouTube.